Hi everybody. Some guys asked me how I build my soccer mount on my soccer fly. So I decided to show you how to build not only the mount but the head, entire head. Because to make this kind of mount you need to have this type of head to insert the mount and fix it up. So I will proceed. So this is my pattern, or my regular pattern that I use, because the sucker here um, are mostly gray with brown color inside. So this is my favorite pattern, but uh, black and white is also a good choice. So I tied the bodies. It's a game changer with Fentex wool and some Akel, and here made some extension to enhance the effect of the swimming. Yeah, don't have the term. So the fin on the back and the lateral. So I'm ready to add my head on this pattern. So to proceed, I use a shank about 1 3/4 inch long. Not easy to do, but okay. I use big fly thread. We'll cover the shank. Two layer of thread. I glue it. Made it on every shank that I do. So to build the head, I use tubing 3/4 inches large. Got a strip of about 3 inch. Yeah, 3.5 inch. Important to burn you can manipulate it without break of it. So this is will my head. I will take one part and push at the inside to exit at the other end, like this. It's important when you place the tubing to make the head, to ensure that the fold will up and down and not lateral, because if you see the shape of the head, it's larger in this side in opposition with the lateral. So I used to fix it E6000. This is a really good stuff to really fix hard. One drop, turn around the shank. You must be sure to keep in 1/8 inches distance between the front of the head and your eye of the shank. We will tie some stuff here. So when I'm sure that I'm okay with the eye, fix it with some glue. And then I will put in the head some stuff to make some noise, like a rattle. You can take a rattle and put it in, sorry. But for mine, I use little jingle. Jingle with different size will have different wavelength of sound. It's not scientific, but I think that this fact can add some efficiency in the sound to call the fish. So I put these one in, but if I want enhance the sound and the weight of the head fly, I will use some shots, hunting shot, 1/4 inch. I will put one. If you want a louder fly to sink more, you can put 2, 3. But I don't want to have a head too loud, because I don't want to have a lot of sink with this fly. I like when the fly turn and stay in suspension in the water. So one of these shot, 1/4 inch, and 2 or 3 BB for air gun shots, because I want to raise the number of shock number on the jingle to make more noise. I put in 2 or 3. I have 5 in my hands. And sometimes I had some glass bead, 3, 4, 5, to add another little sound effect. It's important when you do this to make sure that you don't lose anything. Place my thread at the end of the shank. We'll do the same thing from the front. I will add one drop of E6000. To make the bodies and the head, you can use different type of fiber. On this one, I used this is the Fentex wool. This kind of stuff. I made a bunch of it and I brush it with the pet brushes. It's really resistant to when you hook fish with it. It will resistance. It's tough. So, and I found that to have some luminosity, reflection in the water, and make a good movement too. So that's why I use this stuff. Before I put too much, and it keeps some water, and the fly will be louder. So I put lighter stuff. So I low the quantity of stuff on the fly. So I made my knots, made some glue, and so the shape of my head is fixed on the shank. When this is done, I will push, pinch, and I place. You have the shape of the head with the stuff inside. So you hear that the jingle and the bead can move in the head, so it will have a rattle effect. Okay, so my head will have two color, black on the front and white on the belly. So my tubing is white. I will use a Sharpie to color the top to make sure that it will be darker as I want for the top of the fly. Some of my fly have a head without covering with fiber material. I color the head like that. I push some UV, and this is the head of the fly. But my first pattern that I created, I made some covering the head with the fiber, and I like the effect and the movement in the water, so I continue to do. Again, I like to do a red spot with the gills. Next step is tying the fiber in the front to cover the head after. So I use Unithread 6.0. It's thinner than the Big Fly. It will be easier to make a more compact head. But I forgot. Before I do that, I will add some feather at the base of my head to cover my body. If you look this one, I have some feather stick on the head, and that's due a part of the back of the fly. For this model, I use black and white, so I prepared a pair of 2 feathers, left and white on the cape, to have the good bend. Place 2 feathers side by side to have the same length. That will make a good effect. I cut it. And to join this feather with my head, I will use a needle, the curved needle, to insert my feather at the end of the head, just on the side. I insert the point of the feather in the eye of the needle, and I put in the head material. After, I take that Solaris, that this mark Solaris extra thin stuff, to go in the tubing stuff, enter in contact with the feather, fix it with the lamp, and it will be, if it move, you must be sure that the drop will go in to enter in contact with the feather well. That's okay. I'll do the same thing on the other side at the same height. So my two back feather are on. Now I will add my belly feather, approximately the same length of the back one, paired because I'm the front of the fly. I use the larger feather. It's look like Schlappen. That will be long. I like to use this technique because the fixing point is not at the center of the fly, but around the extremity of the fly. So it's in continuity with the side of the head. So it will shape the fly in a taper that will give it taper shape, and that's what I want, to have a better shape of the fly. That will look more bulky. So that's okay. We are ready to add the fiber to cover the head. So I cut a bunch of wool at a length that will allow to covering the base of the head, and will be longer than the larger of the head. And when I use this stuff, I will pull some center fiber to make a taper shape. We'll pass it in my brush place the fiber, and if you look the shape of that's taper shape. So simply we found the middle. I will pass my thread across 2-3 times in the other side, 2 or 3 times, and later we will take this and pull back on the head like this. After we will make the same thing for the back. I made it a bit longer to the back because I want to really pass beside the back fin of the fly. It's a little bit pretty much long, so I will cut it. We'll do the same thing, give it a taper shape. Two, three turns in a side. I switch 2-3 turns in the other side, and as I want a back more larger than the belly, I will put 2 bunch instead of 1 for the belly. So I push all of it front, 3, 4, 5 turn, fix it. So I will put some glue at the base here. And then we'll be ready to cover the head with this stuff. It's important to place your face in front of your fly to make sure that you will place well the fiber. So if you look at the front, it's beautiful. So to fix this fiber on the head, I will use Solare's tin to fix the front of the fly. So this zone in the front was fixed with Solare's tin. The rest of the head, I used the Solare's Flex, because if you use the tin, that can be cracked when have some pressure on, if you hit some rock, some wood, or sometimes the motor of the so to be sure that the covering fiber of the head will not move on the head after it will be fixed with the Solare's, I will place at some place, I will put on some E6000, not much, but a thin layer to fix some fiber on, to make sure that it will not be moved, that will not move after we fix it on. And then you must place your hair correctly and stick on like that. Make sure that your separation is good, and when it's done, that step will help you to keep the good position of the fiber along your head. You fix it at the front, and the rest will be follow the same shape, just at the end of the fly, at the end of the head fly. Also, this is the part of the fly that will hit weed, branch, rocks when you will strip your fly. So to have a more resistant layer of glue will help to keep the integrity of the head. Okay. So if you look on the top of my head, we see that I have less fiber than the other part of my head, but because I colored it black before, that will not be apparent on the finished fly. So my goal at this moment is to place well the fiber, distribute the most uniformly as I can, to well cover the entire head. I start on the front and apply it to the back. I ensure to cover the front part of the first layer of thin Solares, and I continue in the back direction. It's not a really funny step to do, but is really important to the durability of the fly. I do that up to the end of the tubing of the head. So all of the fiber that covering the head will be stuck up with glue, and that will don't move for the rest of its life. Okay, so we will be ready to look for the mouth confection. So to do the mouth, you need to have a balloon. So I cut about 1/2 inches, and I will put this extremity in a hole that I will do at the curve in the front of the head. You have a flat ear, that curve, and you will go at the extent right here. It's important to do it right in the middle. I use this is a hot for, I don't have the English terms. I will build a hole to insert my balloon. So if you look, result, little hole, and then we'll take a needle and push it in the hole. I push it in by the side before and finish the position, push in the middle here. I be sure to make the equal tension all around the balloon to keep the shape that I want to have. If you push more on the side in comparison with the other side, it will be misformed the mouth. It will be not round, but more like that. So when you have the shape that you want, the next step is to fill the side here of the mouth. For this, you can use the Fentex wool that is the same wool that you used for the head, but I prefer to use more fluffy wool. I cut about 5-6 inch, but I will not necessarily use all of this. And I will put some E6000 all around the bases of the mouth. It's important to have glue all around the mouth. That will give the highly resistance of the mouth. So I will apply the wool stuck in the glue, and I will turn with a little pressure to tight the bases of the balloon and to fill the space between the head and the balloon. At the end, I will take my needle and push the extremity to enter in contact with glue. Okay, then when it's done, it's not finished. You have the base of your mouth. All you need to do is to use Tin-Sol-Arrest. I use tin because I want that it go inside the wool all around the mouth. Push a little to help to enter in the material. It's important to have glue, especially on the front, because this part of the mouth will enter in contact with weed and will take more pressure. You fix it with the UV lamp. Your mouth is done. It will solid. And I guess that this part of the fly is not only a cute thing to enhance the presentation, the beauty of the fly, the imitation, but I think that it has some impact on the swim of the fly, the movement. This creates water resistance in the lower part of the head, and when you retrieve, it will contribute to make the walking dog to make dive, and sometimes the fly will go on the back. Don't worry about it. The first that I made, when I saw that move, I will really disappointed because it's not what I want. But the fish told me that it's a good thing to do because I guess that suggested a fish in difficulty, and so often that decline that will provocate a bite of the fish. So the mouth is done. Just the only thing that it has to do is to put the eyes on. Little drop. Always with E6000. So I will let it stick well with the E6000, and when it will done, I will cover it with a thin Solaris, fix it, and the fly will be finished. So if we look the shape of the fly, after we well placed all the part, so this is the result. In the future video, I will take in the future I will take a video of the swim of this fly to show you how it can really funny to see how to swim, how it swim. It will be really make a break, a good walking dog, lower, upper. It's really fishy. So I hope that you appreciate, and good work, boys and girls.